Welcome to the Tao of Sports podcast with Troy Kirby, covering sports business with over 300 industry leaders from across the globe. Now, here is your host, Troy Kirby.
Thank you for listening to the Tao of Sports podcast. I'm Troy Kirby, along with episode 884 of the podcast. The SVP of the Phoenix Suns, Kyle Pottinger. Now, here's what's great about Kyle is I had actually met him back in Pittsburgh, 2016, at the Association of Luxury Suite Directors Conference. We kind of reminisced about some funny things that happened there. A little inside baseball, even though it's basketball we're talking about. But at the same time, great to have that shorthand with him. Always wanted to have him on the podcast, and he's kind of really shown exactly what you can do with a 133 game sellout streak. Now think about that. 133 games. That's, 3 seasons? And coming out of a pandemic and really talking about the membership model, understanding what that means, getting into the idea of also helping their WNBA team, other things, a new exciting owner. These are great things to talk about, and we kind of cover it all right here on episode 884 of the Tao of Sports. Well, Kyle, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. I guess the first question that I would have is based off of your origins. You're the original team, the Major League team that was in Phoenix. And you've had all of these other folks that have kind of come around lately, right? Last 20 years. Has that still been something of a legacy that you can sell to the general public, to where they still know you're the kind of the one that started it all? Because nobody was coming to Phoenix back in the 60s when this got started, right?
Yeah, we're proud of it for sure, and we always definitely look at ourselves as Phoenix's team. But we've become one of the most competitive markets in the country. And when people talk about competitive marketplaces, a lot of times people think of New York, think of LA. In my opinion, Phoenix is right up there with them as being extremely competitive, and not only having the 4 major sports teams here. We get the Final Four out here, the Super Bowl, year-round golf, the largest university in the United States here. Phoenix has grown into being a significant city, 6th largest city in the United States. So it's extremely competitive. And with the new teams that have come into the market, it's required all of us to step up our games and be that much more diligent about the fan experience that we provide, and creating something on each game night, each event night, that people can come out and really enjoy themselves. So we're proud of that history. We're proud of being the original team here in 1968 and everything that's followed. But the market's changed for sure, and it's required us to become that much more intentional around how we approach our fans.
Has that actually been something, you mentioned the competitive stuff, but has that actually been a positive? Because if you didn't have the other teams, would you be pushing as hard? And it's not like you don't push hard, but it's kind of like a runner, right? It needs another runner
Absolutely.
To make sure you're not held accountable, but you're pushing harder. Is that really where you can kind of look at and go, okay, our numbers are here, but we got to make sure that we're building a different experience that makes sense in that membership model, because everyone's talking membership now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Iron sharpens iron, and it's required us to become smarter about it and take our time to not only come up with new ideas, but talk to our members about it and ask them really what's most important to them, what aspects of their game night become most critical, and even what they're doing outside of our games. What we've learned is we have 41 regular season home games that we can engage fans, along with a number of concerts and events throughout the year. But people still need entertainment and are looking for things to do outside of our games. So we have our WNBA team, the Phoenix Mercury, who play during the summer months. We definitely look to supplement entertainment with that. But then we're looking to create really year-round value through the membership platform. And again, looking for ways we can continue to engage our members and provide that value to them outside of just our games and events, which are hopefully incredibly impactful themselves.
The NBA is the one that created the inside sales model. If you look back in history, that's it, right?
Yeah.
But is that inside sales model now changed? I mean, has that actually altered in how people present themselves and what they do? Because I don't think the 100 phone calls a day matter anymore, right? Or do they?
Gosh, it's changed. I remember I'm going to date myself. When I first got into sales, I was told to make 100, 150 phone calls, and I never thought twice about it. I did that because that's what I was told to do. And the talent that's coming out of college today is just so much smarter than I was when I was coming out of college. And they're asking why, and they're trying to figure out a more efficient way to approach it. And so I think the inside sales model has changed a lot. And fortunately, the talent that's coming into the sports industry is going to put pressure on all of us to think about things differently. And they're coming up with more efficient ways to approach it. That combined with new technology. I think artificial intelligence is going to have more and more of an impact on our industry and how we approach the sales and service process.
Explain to me on the AI stuff. I mean, are there specific companies that are really getting into the sports business space, or is that just this regular CRM that you're calculating as AI?
No, so we definitely have a CRM, but we've invested heavily in Conversica, which is our AI platform. And going through COVID in particular, like most teams, we had to downsize, we had to make tough decisions. And for us, it was a unique window because immediately coming out of COVID, we went on this amazing run to the NBA Finals where the amount of leads that were coming in was greater than we had seen in a long time. We wouldn't have been able to scale and execute the business that we were able to, the way we were able to, had it not been for our AI platform. And when I first introduced AI to our sales team, or that we were going to be bringing AI in, immediately they looked at this as being something that was going to replace their jobs. It really hasn't necessarily been that, so much as making them that much more efficient within their jobs. So the days of making 100 to 150 phone calls trying to find that needle in the haystack, instead we're deploying AI to leads, to buyers, and giving them the opportunity to raise their hand, and then at that point making the handoff to one of our sales team members to then have that conversation. But it's making the sales process so much better for the client as well as the team member. At the end of the day, they're feeling that much more accomplished versus having struggled through 100 plus calls trying to find those 2 or 3 people who would actually engage.
Well, there's going to be some team or some group that's going to decide to get rid of all their people because they're going to do it AI. And I'm going to justify it right now. Has anybody ever liked talking to a robo chat? Humans sell to humans.
Yeah, absolutely.
Robots can't sell to humans. Unless the Terminator's buying tickets, somebody's got to buy those actual tickets, right?
I think it supplements the sales process. It helps in the sales process. I don't think it replaces an entire sales team at all, but it has made it way more efficient of a process for us.
With group sales, which always tend to be the ones that flood the place on a Tuesday night, and they're great. But do we sometimes dismiss them because they're not full members? And here they're bringing out 800, 900 people a group, right?
Yeah, we don't. So I came up through the group sales route. So group sales are near and dear to my heart, and we try to look at our group leaders as much as part of the membership family as our season ticket members. They play a big part in the game night ecosystem, and we've tried to lean in on those people and strengthen those relationships, and in many cases even recognize their tenure as a group leader. We got some groups performance groups in particular, that have now been coming out for 20 plus seasons. So to be able to celebrate that and reward them similar to how we would a season ticket member is something that we're leaning into for sure.
This comes back to the membership thing, but also with the group leader. Are we almost proving that it has to take more than a basketball game, or it has to take more than that experience for them to want to be a part of it? If you looked in the past, they just gave the group leader more tickets or, a jacket. Isn't it more that, they have to be able to go out and do other things and other activities and relate it back to you that have maybe nothing to do with the basketball game?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's what you said, people buy from people. And so for us, trying to understand what that hot button is for the group leader is part of it. We see some group leaders who are enamored by the idea of being the person who brings it all together. Others are focused on the visibility in the arena. Others are focused on the fundraising efforts. So for us, we want to understand what's important to them and then as opposed to just giving them extra tickets. We're looking at how we can do something special for them, whether that be a framed photo, whether that be even just spending time with them outside of the game, or recognizing them at different events that we host throughout the year.
So 2020 hits, everyone goes into, kind of a huddle, right? That doesn't mean you don't have the ability to technically sell, right? You have to sell into 2021 or whenever you're coming back. And you guys had made a quick turnaround from the bubble, right? Because you were only, I want to say, a month and a half. There was something weird that switched it, right? So how were you guys selling while the bubble was happening, or how did you sell that? Because there was a little undetermination of whether or not you were going to come back to be able to seat anybody.
Yeah, it's interesting. It feels like a lifetime ago now, thinking back to COVID. But we announced in November of 2019 that we were going to be going through a $250 million renovation to our building. So we were fortunate in that we had launched that in November. We went through all of our member renewals, and then when everything shut down in March, we were already in full preparation for the new sales for our new arena. Part of that was developing a transformation center where we could host clients, allow them to preview the new club spaces, the new seating options, and buy into the new building. My simple-mindedness during COVID was that we were going to continue to sell. And the best thing we could do as a sales team was continue to try to figure out ways to bring in revenue. We were fortunate in that Arizona wasn't hit as hard as other parts of the country, for sure. And we also had this great new building that the city was excited about. And so in May of that year, we opened up our transformation center and started hosting clients down at the transformation center to preview the different spaces. We had to go through all the safety protocols, and we were maintaining time in between appointments to wipe spaces down. But it gave us a great window to where we were able to continue to sell throughout COVID. We actually never stopped selling at any point of that of the entire pandemic, which put us in a great spot. And it allowed us, once we did get back to playing basketball, we opened in February of 2021 with 1,500 fans in the building, and then by that July we had 17,000 people here in our building while we played in the NBA Finals. So it took off quickly for us, but that continued focus on generating revenue, looking for ways where we can still get in front of people in a safe way, was key for us in being able to execute the business the way we did.
The thing about selling in general is you also have to speak their language. You're not just a bilingual city, but you might be a trilingual. You have a lot of different cultures that come through here. Phoenix seems to be the inlet for quite a few.
Yeah.
I would factor it the same way I would factor almost Northern California, to where it's like you might go in there and there's 4 or 5 different languages spoke. How do you reach all those folks that may or may not be speaking necessarily English? How do you make sure that you're hitting the right stuff with your sales staff?
Yeah, it's a continued focus, and it starts with our staffing and looking at how we hire on bilingual team members, how we hire on really a sales force that resembles our community and can engage with the different cultures across our community. And so 2 years ago, we deployed our Originative campaign, which was focused on celebrating the Native American culture. We came out with the turquoise jersey. Was one of the best campaigns I've ever been a part of. This year, we're calling it our El Valle campaign. El Valle is the valley in Spanish. We have the El Valle jersey. We have the El Valle on the court, and so we've leaned in on that as far as celebrating the Hispanic culture, celebrating the lowrider aspect of the Hispanic culture. And so our sales force, we've really focused on hiring more Spanish-speaking team members to not only engage with the Phoenix community, but Mexico's 3 hours south of here, and we've tried to really strengthen those relationships with those cities in Mexico, in Nogales, Hermosillo. We played in Mexico City back in 2019, but we've really tried to do more with Mexico and hire on those team members who can engage with those different communities to get them out to games.
So because of the fact that you've kind of grown up in this, organization, you had a period where you left, but then you came back, right? I mean, you've seen it through different transitions. What do those transitions look like now looking back? I mean, has it actually built up the idea that, hey, of where we need to kind of go and focus on? Because you've seen where the holes are. You've seen that, hey, maybe Northern Arizona we weren't focusing on, or maybe Gilbert, or these places.
Yeah, when I started here with the Suns in 2007 as an intern, and started selling on the Sun side of things in 2009. And for the first 4 years of my career, we had Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire and Sean Marion, and we were going deep in the playoffs every year. And then I went through a long stretch where I didn't work for a team that was in the playoffs until that 2021 finals run. And so it's afforded me some great perspective and having an understanding of the way things look when you're winning, as well as where you need to get creative when the team on the court maybe isn't performing at the level that you would hope it would. But as you mentioned, I left the Suns for 3 years and then came back, and I think that helped me a ton in being able to relate to our sales team and develop the culture that we have, because I was able to reference my time here as a team member, but also grow as a leader while spending some time on the East Coast with the New Jersey Devils and Philadelphia 76ers, and then come back and really combine it to hopefully be something that resonates with our team members, and also be able to look them in the eye and tell them that I've been in their seat, I've done their job, I know what challenges they're running into, and we can tackle it together.
Does that learned knowledge, though, coming from different organizations, does that actually, those are maybe little things they're doing right, maybe little things they're doing wrong. Does that also help kind of build and, help you as a leader, because now you've seen 3 different viewpoints?
Yeah, without a doubt. The different perspective is huge, right? And being able to learn from different people at each one of the stops, I think has helped me a ton, and giving yourself some time to make some mistakes along the way as well. I think that different perspective goes a long way in developing you as a leader. And for me, being able to reference my time in Jersey, being able to reference my time in Philly has helped me immensely since being here with the Suns, and I've been able to draw on things that worked, as well as in some cases things that didn't work, to figure out how we approach different situations.
What do you think maybe changed for the better out of you that kind of increased your leadership or whatever that you maybe didn't have before? See, now we get into the self-critical part, but it's good.
Yeah, totally. The focus on people, without a doubt. I always recognize the focus on people and culture. And I know culture gets thrown around a ton in our industry, but when I was out in Philly, I had the good fortune of getting to work under Scott O'Neill's leadership out there, and I was there during the process in Philly. Scott's
a fun guy.
He's a really fun guy. But we unified around this idea of the process, and it was the idea of being a part of something that's bigger than yourself, and being a part of that is special. And so when I got to Philly, I saw the excitement from our team, the excitement from the city, and how much of a galvanizing point that was. And so watching that and being a part of it was super impactful for me. And so when I came back to Phoenix, I knew right away that the goal wasn't to copy what we had in Philly, but really develop our own version of it here in Phoenix, and develop a culture, develop an environment that's not necessarily coach-fed, but more player-led, and allow our team members to really drive the culture on a daily basis, while we as leaders are maintaining the riverbanks and helping to guide it. But they're the ones that are driving it. They're the ones that are making it fun. They're the ones that are really creating that energy that makes it that much more fun to come to work on a daily basis.
You're across from an interview table of probably way too many kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe your hiring manager is. But what do you kind of see as a different perspective from what you saw maybe 10 years ago in the college student? You said that they were, innovative, whatever, but I mean, are there different kind of traits that they now have? Because we're changing generations. Remember, we used to sit, and there used to be managing millennials. Yeah. It was like this huge, every single workshop, right?
No, they're talented. They're talented. They're curious. They're smart. Again, I referenced it at the beginning when we first started speaking, but when I got into the sports industry, I was just happy to have a desk. I was happy to have a business card with my name on it, and I was doing whatever I was told. The group coming in now, they're asking a lot of questions. They want to understand the why. I think that's the biggest thing that stands out to me, is they're not going to just take your direction because of your title. They're going to take your direction based on their belief in you and their understanding of the why behind whatever initiative you're putting into place. As we go through the interview process, I'm always blown away just by the level of questions these students are asking. They're not just throwing out these kind of standard interview questions that they're told in school, but they're inquisitive. They're doing their research. It was different before. You didn't have LinkedIn where you could do a ton of research on somebody. Now they're doing their research. They're understanding what your path was. They're understanding my resume as well as they know their own resume, so they can come in with some really well thought out, well positioned questions that just shows the type of character, the type of talent that you're getting to sit in front of and potentially have come on board as part of your team.
You talk about that in terms of the competitiveness, right? When we start talking, this is also the original home of Twitter actually having verified.
Shaq.
It was, not only Shaq, but Amy Jo Martin, right?
Amy was
so great. When you look at that was something innovative. Is that something that, though, when you're dealing with young kids, sometimes they're pushing you on stuff you might not understand? How do you make sure that you kind of get on board with, let's say there's the new TikTok or whatever, right? How do you get on board without just saying yes to everything and then finding out you gave up government secrets or I don't know?
Yeah. So I've been fortunate to have learned early on that I'm not the smartest person in the room. Rarely am I the smartest person in the room, which I think is a good thing. We're asked a lot of questions, and the culture that we've developed here as an organization is to ask a lot of questions. We're ambitious, we're bullish as it relates to our goals, but we ask a lot of questions, and the goal is to create different rooms, different groups to where everybody is so passionate about getting to the best possible answer that it doesn't necessarily matter whose idea it is. It just matters that we get to the right end result. And so it's a lot of questions, and for me in particular as a leader, it's really trying to figure out, trying to understand what I don't know about something and what I need to know to determine whether or not it's something we should actually execute. The nice thing about our team, the nice thing again about the talent that's coming out is they'll tell you exactly what it is. They'll tell you exactly how they feel about it. You just got to give them the environment to where they can feel comfortable doing so.
So, millennials, and I hate to make too much stereotype, but they were a lot of times title focused, right? You give them a bigger title, you could do the things. That was really, what you always saw with internal rewards or group activities. Are we seeing that, though, with Gen Z as much? I mean, it doesn't seem like they're, like you mentioned, the title doesn't really matter to them when it's you. Do you really think the title is what they're working for, or what do you think that they motivates them as much in the sales thing? Because you have to have certain things to say, hey, if you do this, you'll get this.
For some, for sure. For some, it's the title, but overarching to that, it's just the recognition. They want to feel appreciated. They want to feel like their work isn't just being done for nothing, but that it's being recognized as what it's done for the team, how it's been impactful. And then they're focused on earnings is huge. They want to make money. They want to go out there and generate money to live the lives that they're really focused on. And so the incentives, the commission, all that are things that they really want to know about. They really want to understand and ask a lot of questions about, which again, I appreciate and admire, because I definitely wasn't doing that when I was at that stage in my career. I was just placing a bet that everything was going to work out the way it was supposed to.
So, have we seen a reduction in sales staff overall? Because, it used to be like 50 to 100 people and, right, banging out calls. Is that really happening anymore? Or are we down to, a more focused group? Is it more kind of like the U.S. military, right? Can't just draft everybody. You got to actually train the right people.
Yeah, I think for us, the partnership with human resources, which for us we refer to as people and culture, has become paramount. And so as opposed to us just developing what we think are the right staffing levels, really we work hand in hand with our people and culture team, try to understand what challenges we're trying to solve. And right now, especially as we prepare for budget season for next fiscal, it's really looking at what are the inventory challenges we're going to have, what products are we going to be focused on selling as well as servicing, and then what's the right staffing mix to get to that point. And so there's subtle changes from year to year, but I think taking those steps to look at it with a critical eye and figure out exactly how it should be set up and why is a healthy process to go through. We're fortunate in the spot to be in the midst of last night was our 113th consecutive sold out game between regular season and playoffs. And so our inventory mix and our structure is different. We're focusing that much more on servicing of our members and ensuring that their experience is top notch based on the sellout situation that we're in.
So did you actually see a bump with Durant, or do you see bumps with star players as much as people like to think you do? Or is that, that's a good selling point, but it's not the only selling point?
We've been in a fortunate spot. We went to the NBA Finals in 21, and we've been really in a sellout situation since then, bringing on a superstar, a legend, a GOAT, and Kevin Durant definitely has an impact on the business and the excitement, not only from a ticket sales perspective, but just global interest in your team. And so we definitely feel a huge impact from having somebody like Kevin Durant as part of our team. But it's allowed us to continue to progress the business forward, which with that much more excitement around the team.
So have we seen a lot of information come back from the digital side that it's actually helped you, increase on the ticket sales side? Has that actually married the two? I mean, can you actually go, okay, this data of these people watching, we can actually sell into these? Or has that still, been a gap we haven't bridged yet?
Yeah, well, we expanded our TV rights deal this year, where all of our games are broadcast on Arizona Family. So our TV ratings this year have skyrocketed year over year, based on the really focus from our owner, Matt Ishbia, and our executive leadership team, and making sure that every household in Arizona has the opportunity to watch Suns games at home. So our viewership has skyrocketed, and the structure of that has helped, and having a partner like AZ Family to broadcast all the games. But yeah, the excitement around Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Nurkic, our whole team is incredibly high right now. And so our focus is to continue to create those engagement points with the community, and at a really simple level, simple idea, complex to actually execute, ensuring that everybody has the opportunity to watch our games at home. And then we definitely have seen a huge impact in that, and the amount of viewership.
You mentioned the owner. I mean, you look at he's younger, probably more involved in tech, more on the finance side. Do you think that helps in the sense that if you're going to bring a big idea, that maybe that's going to be more of a sellable point because you have somebody that might have had that available media? You mentioned being on TV and doing all of that. That's huge, right? Because you don't have those issues of roadblocks, right? Oh, we can't do this, and we got to block out the old Bill Wirtz model, right?
Yeah, it's tough to say. I can't speak to age being the differentiating point of that, but Matt has had a great impact. He officially came on board as our new owner in February of 2023, and since then his focus has been providing a great workplace for all Suns team members, providing a great fan experience, having a big hand in the community, and then winning. And as he puts it, we're not going to win in everything we do. We're going to lose sometimes, but we're going to do everything we can to try to win every single day we come in the office, and every single time we take the court. And so he's been steadfast in that commitment to those four prongs since he walked in the door. And he's excited, and he challenges us to look at things differently and see how we can continue to do things that are going to be that much better for our fans, and that much better for our community, or that much better for our teammates here in the office. And so that's been exciting to be a part of. It's been exciting to watch, not only for the Suns but also for the Mercury, our WNBA team as well.
So in terms of the future, where do we see both franchises going in the future in terms of the sales aspect? Because it's great to sell out, but isn't that in a way its own detriment, because those are innovative things you can't necessarily do, right? Because you're already sold out. There's no more buckets in the seats, right? There's no more seats to go, or what?
There's a finite number of seats in the arena. Our opportunity is getting creative and seeing how do we create new opportunities. How do we create different viewing places? How do we create different engagement points with our fans, whether that be by introducing new seating options here within our building. We introduced a new club this season called the BMW M Club that was previously a large suite that we converted into a club within the suite level. So innovating in terms of the spaces we have within our current building is a big opportunity, and then looking for other opportunities for us to create new fan engagement points is a big focus of ours in trying to continue to expand the excitement around Suns and Mercury basketball.
Hey, you mentioned the luxury suite conversion. Have we seen less people less companies just wanting to buy a luxury suite, or is it more of, having to convert those off to all-inclusive or other types of menus or what?
No, we've seen so much excitement around suites, which has been really, really great to witness over the past few years.
Because we all remember 2008.
yeah, we're not in the recession anymore, but I'd say what did come from that is more of a focus and a partnership with company CFOs, where it's not just the revenue arm coming in and saying, hey, this is what we're going to do because I think it's going to be good, but us really being able to not only partner with company CROs as well as their CFOs in showcasing how they can justify the expense and how we'll help them in realizing the return based on the amount of clients they'll be able to get in front of, based on the amount of team members they'll be able to engage. The focus on that return on investment is significantly higher than it was 10, 15 years ago. We've also seen a huge shift to all-inclusive. All-inclusive, for us, we made it a focus coming out of the renovation. Prior to the renovation, we sold our suites, and it was your suite plus food and beverage. You were on your own for whatever you wanted to order, whatever you wanted to add in there. We made the adjustment to where the majority of our suites are all-inclusive. They have access to a suite-level buffet that's located just outside of their suite. So it provides a communal space where suite owners can interact with one another. They can also get their food, but it makes it that much more simpler for their CFO to understand as far as what their investment's going to be going into the deal and then what they expect it to be at the end of the year.
Well, fantastic stuff. Thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. Enjoy your time in Arizona.
Thank you for listening to the Tao of Sports podcast, focusing on the world of sports business. Download our free iPhone, iPad app in the iTunes App Store, an Android app available in Amazon to listen to the entire archive. Or check out sportstao.com for more podcasts, blog posts, and videos. All episodes of the Tao of Sports podcast are copyrighted and trademarked.